All right. I am live. We're gonna bring in my man Athletic Mind in 1 second. Do a little boxing talk. There he is. So let's do it. My man, what's up?
How you doing, bro?
I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Where in the country you located?
I'm in America. I'm in New York, out of Brownsville, Brooklyn.
I'm in Brooklyn too.
Oh yeah, we gotta chop it up, man.
Boom.
Yep,
I mean, I'm in
there you
Park
go.
Slope. I'm in the bougie part of Brooklyn, but whatever.
Okay, it's alright.
Are you from Brownsville?
Yeah, I'm from Brownsville. Yeah,
Okay, I'm from Hell's Kitchen
are you from
originally.
House Kitchen? Oh, that's up in
Yeah.
Manhattan. Okay, okay,
But I'm like, yeah, I'm 46, so like Hell's Kitchen when I grew up was
right.
not good. It's not what it is
Yeah,
now.
I know, I know. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, thank you for having me on the platform and
of
things of
course.
that nature. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. Appreciate you being on. So a little bit before we chop it up about some boxing, I'm curious a little bit about you. What's like your background? So for starters, did you ever box yourself?
Yeah, I still do box. I'm just in the past couple years I've been in a little hiatus. I've been not very active. You know what I'm saying, stuff like that. But if I turn my camera, hold on. These are let me just bring.
Let's see.
Hold
See what
on.
you got.
These are a couple of my trophies right here.
Okay.
WB Mauricio Suleiman. He for one of our club shows, he was giving these out for like whether you won or lost. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
The rest of my stuff is at my grandmother's house, but this is
Okay.
all right here that I have in the house right there. But
So what you have you fought pro yet or just amateur?
no, I'm still amateur. Still
Okay. And
amateur.
how many fights have you had?
I have oh, hold up, sorry. Yeah, I have about 13.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
And what weight are you at?
139.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the plan? You want to go pro, go far with it? You just
I
what do you want
I,
to do?
absolutely I absolutely do. The reason why I did start boxing because my brother he used to box before he was killed. He was shot in front of my mom in 2017. So
Oh shit.
that's when I started to take up boxing. At that time, just to try it. I wasn't really into boxing before that, but just to try it to see, just so I could be closer with my brother. Because when we was growing up, we had how you are with some of your siblings, like you have a love hate relationship.
Right.
Everybody has that. So me and him, we didn't really get along a lot. So that was my way of trying to get close to him. And then I got into boxing. I liked it. I was really good. My first fight, I was ready to fight within 8 months, but the show that I was in, my opponent didn't show up, so I ended up fighting a couple months after that in December of
Okay.
2018. You know what I'm saying? That was my first fight. You know?
Okay. Okay. So you've been doing it then for 5 years.
Yeah.
Um, what kind? Do you have any videos of you actually fighting
Oh
boxing?
yeah, most definitely, absolutely, most definitely.
I want to check it out. Like, what would you say? Who would you most say your style is like?
Ooh, that's a good question. When I first started boxing, I really liked watching Adrian Broner. Like when he was at 130, I like to watch a lot of Adrian Broner because everybody likes to shit on AB and all of that. It's a lot of fighters I see. A lot of up and coming fighters who act like AB is not wasn't their favorite fighter growing up back when he was so big. But AB was definitely one of those guys who I was admiring mostly at around that time when I first started boxing.
Okay.
But now my style, I really can't really describe it. But I will say, I'm a boxer. That's my style, boxing for sure. You know
Okay.
what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Okay. Yeah, man. I want to see some clips. That's
Absolutely, I'll
dope.
send it through.
So when did you start your YouTube channel?
I actually started my YouTube channel in 2016, I believe. I started covering wrestling. I was covering at first. Then after that, I started covering basketball. And basketball is what really blew my channel up. Then I started covering boxing because around 2017 is when I got into boxing. So I started really primarily doing basketball and boxing as one on the channel, and that's when I started my channel, 2016. Around the time when Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, that's where I started my channel.
Okay.
Around that time, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And now do you only do boxing?
Yes, yes. I have another channel, Game It Takes, where I talk basketball because basketball is my first love. I ain't gonna sit up here and lie. I have another channel, Game It Takes, where I do talk basketball as well, and I do my this channel that you see me on, Athletic Mind, that channel got demonetized. So what I'm trying to do is start my boxing content, just boxing content from the ground up on my my new channel called Boxaholic.
Why did it get demonetized?
Because I really believe I was making really good promos that it came to a point where like people was actually thinking it was either top rank making those promos because how I put my thumbnails together. I really am good at editing, so they thought it was top rank posting it. You know what I'm saying? Or
Okay.
I'll make a promo of anything. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's really because I was using a lot of the boxing clips where they strike you down for that. But I was finding a way around that to not get copyright claim.
How?
So they found a way to go around me and demonetize me for that. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But I'm just starting from scratch.
I'm with you, man. I never post videos of anybody else. You could use people's content
Right.
on YouTube. Like I could take one of your videos as long as I speak over it and I add my own spin to it. But you can't take network stuff. Yeah, you can't do that. Because they will. It's like a 3-strike rule. I think they have, right?
I really think what really broke the camel's back for me is this Devin Haney and Lomachenko promo that I made that did over 200,000 views. That's where it really, they was like, that's the final show. Because I had been doing videos that was doing numbers, but that final one right there is where I really think, it is what it is, though.
Okay. Well, cool. I mean, look, it's cool. It's good to know that you're a fighter because I'm not saying fans who don't fight don't know, but fighters, we have a different. Like I was a fighter as well.
Right.
We have different perspectives. It's just like anything. If you're on the job, you're gonna know the job a little bit better than somebody who's watching from afar.
Right. That's true.
You know what I mean? So that's cool. So leading in, I want to touch on the Errol Spence versus Crawford fight first. Leading into that fight, who did you have? Who did you choose? Who was going to be the winner? Who did you think was going to win?
I had Terrence Crawford, man. I've been knowing that he was going to win that fight for almost half a decade. You know what I'm saying? I had that belief. I always was going with Crawford.
And how did you think it was going to play out before it happened?
When the fight, we all know this fight has been talked about for 5 years, right? When it first was talked about, I wasn't really into those two guys. I wasn't really paying too much attention to them. I was actually watching Spence fights more than Crawford fights.
Okay.
Around 2018 for sure. You know what I'm saying? When I bought his pay-per-view when he fought Porter. I bought his pay-per-view after the car accident when he fought Garcia. So I was watching a lot more Spence fights than I was Crawford. But like when the whole thing was even brought up in the beginning, I wasn't really, But as we got into the 2020s, that's when I started to pay attention. I was like, okay, Errol Spence, he looked a certain way in the Garcia fight. He didn't look quite the same, but still really good. I thought he beat Danny Garcia, swept him. I thought he 12-0'd him to me. That's the fight I watched. I don't know anybody else saying. And then I was like, that performance, okay, he's coming off. He looked real good still to me. Then I was watching a lot more Crawford fights. I believe in 2020, did Crawford fight in 2020? No, right?
I don't know.
I don't think he fought in 2020, but I did see him fight Mean Machine. I was like, okay, I was just really examining them both. Then I seen Errol Spence fight Ugas, and I seen that performance and how people was praising for that performance. And there was a lot in that fight that was very telling that he was not going to beat Terrence Crawford. And from that point on, I knew that Terrence Crawford was most certainly going to beat him because in that particular fight with Ugas, a lot of people, they're paying attention to the brutalization that Errol Spence is putting on Ugas. But I'm watching to see, why do people think this man can beat Terrence Crawford, right? Seen a lot of mistakes he made. And you as a boxer, when you put yourself out there, you know what I'm saying, keep yourself vulnerable, you know what I'm saying, and you overextending or you're telegraphing, it's easier for a boxer of that talent level to see those things, expose you on that. Ugas, really good, not Terrence Crawford though. Danny Garcia, really good, not Terrence Crawford though. Those guys are not able to get out of the way of shots like Terrence Crawford. He has educated feet. So in that Ugas fight, he was doing a lot of lunging in with the left hand. His footwork was not that good. His foot placement was not that good. He looked a lot more slower to me. He just didn't. It was a lot of things that I seen that he was not going to beat Terrence Crawford with. Then we get into this fight, right? Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, then we get into the fight, you know, and Errol Spence, people making excuses. Oh, he didn't look like this. He didn't look like that. I thought he did really good work in the first 2 rounds. You know what I'm saying? Until he got caught at the end of round 2. But I thought he looked pretty good. Nobody was saying, oh, he maybe before the fight they were saying something about his eyes or whatever the case may be. But in the first 2 rounds, hey, I had people over here watching. They're like, oh, Errol Spence getting him first 2 rounds.
But I think Crawford in the first 2 rounds looked like he was just downloading information. You know what I mean? He was just seeing what he's working with. He even said it. He was like, he felt a couple shots, and he was like, "Oh, that's it." Like he was, just, you know what I mean? Like to your point about guys who make a lot of mistakes and lunge forward. A lot of times, though, a certain fighter will make quote unquote mistakes because they're not worried about what's coming back at them, or you know what I'm saying? Not always, but it happens, so that's why I don't always judge all of the past fights, because some guys, like I've done it myself, were like, I'll drop my hands. I'm not really worried if I get hit with this or whatever. So that's why to me it was like it was 50-50. I was leaning towards Bud, but it was like a little lean. I didn't think he would do what he did, but I thought he would win. The weigh-in to me showed a lot because everybody kept saying Spence is bigger, Spence is bigger, Spence is bigger, right? And when you have a bigger, lumbering, kind of aggressive fighter, if he's also a bigger person, that's probably going to be to his advantage. But when I saw the weigh-in, I mean, he didn't look bigger to me. If anything, Bud looked a little more solid.
Yeah, and I definitely get your point about the lunging in, but I did see Errol Spence not only doing it in that fight, but in the fight prior. I don't know. It's always been a habit for him, because he hasn't really been like this elusive fighter moving his head and nothing like that. He's right there, you know what I'm saying? So when he does lunge in, he's not really getting out the way. He may duck under, but I see him doing the Danny fight too, do a lot of the lunging in. It's just a lot of flaws that he has that it's just all wrong for a style like Terrence Crawford.
Right. No, exactly. But he was getting away with them because he was winning Spence, so that's why I was like, well, maybe he'll switch up his attack and he'll make adjustments when he's but he didn't.
Yeah, and it's all about also in one of my videos that I think I dropped yesterday. I was saying how you can't be predictable against Terrence Crawford. I made an example of Leo Santa Cruz. What did he do before he got knocked out? He was against the ropes and threw 3 straight right hands. This is elementary. Like you're a boxer, Marco. If you see the same shot coming at the same speed, it's the same punch, you're going to get out the way and try to land your shot.
I'll tell you, it is astounding to me, even throughout my own sparring and fights, how many people do the same patterns over and over and don't adjust. The majority of people, would you agree? Majority of people don't really adjust. They do the same thing.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I said that, and I brought up great points in my breakdown for Errol Spence, the things that he could do to help him win the fight. If he is not predictable, if he jumps on, not jump on him because he was going to get caught, but just don't give him a second to breathe and think. Don't be in the middle of the ring with him. That's one thing that he was doing a lot in the fight. Don't keep the fight in the center ring. You're not going to win that battle. Errol Spence, people say, oh, Errol Spence has many ways he can beat you. Errol Spence, I'm not going to say he didn't beat guys in a different style before. We've seen him do it with Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia. But those guys are limited in terms of foot movement. They're not fast. They're not really athletic like that. Their foot speed is really not there. Those are guys who, I don't want to say still right there, but they technically stood right there. You know what I'm saying? That's why Errol Spence, the more athletic fighter than those two guys, is able to outbox them.
Right. So did you think that Bud was going to be as dominant as he was?
Absolutely not. And I was very disappointed in that fight. Absolutely not. I'm a Bud Crawford fan. I was rooting for him to win. I wanted him to win. But I did not think that it was going to be that easy. And Bud Crawford admitted himself that he didn't think it was going to be that easy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, not many people did think it was going to be that easy. I can't. Can you think of the last mega fight that was this one-sided? Like this one-sided?
I mean, if you're talking mega fights, I mean, they called Ryan Garcia and Tank a mega fight. So, I mean, that one.
It was, but for boxing purists, we knew that Garcia didn't really have a shot, right?
I mean, of course, like, a lot of people with common sense like me and you do that, but it was a lot of people, even that's in boxing circles, who thought this man had a chance, or whatever. But
Mm.
you
Okay.
know,
I
it
mean, I
is.
guess, but even that fight wasn't that one side. I mean, it was quicker, but this was just
Yeah,
this
it was.
was.
This was way more one sided.
I mean, it got to the point where I don't know about you, but I was almost I like, and I don't usually feel this way, but I was feeling slightly like bad for
Yeah,
Errol.
I
He didn't
was
look
feeling
good.
very bad.
Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
look good.
After all the shit he talked and all of that and all of this, I still felt really bad for the dudes, and I was like, damn,
You
because he kept getting up.
you mentioned before his eyes something like he looked, and I had seen that too. What do you mean? Like, what did you see in his eyes before the fight?
I'm more so bringing up what people brought to my attention, because when I
Okay.
was looking at him, Errol was not this like wide eyed guy, or he's not really colorful like that. He doesn't have a colorful expression on his
Right.
face all the time. So I'm just thinking, hey, that's how he normally look to me. Yeah, his eyes was a little like lower than usual, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I didn't think anything was out of the norm or nothing like that. I just like,
Right.
okay, he's ready. He didn't look scared and none of that shit. He just looked like
Uh,
he was ready to get in there.
yeah. I
As the
mean,
case may be.
I've heard a bunch of things, and to me, it doesn't really matter because no matter what happened, he took the fight, he fought. So whatever if there was an issue, it was on him anyway, and if there wasn't, it was on him anyway. So it's on
Right.
him anyway. You know what I mean? Do you want to see them rematch? Do you think they should rematch?
Um, the the Bud Crawford fan of me wants to see them rematch because of all the excuses that we see are now being laid out by certain people in the YTBC about the
What's
Wade and
YTBC?
a YouTube boxing community.
What is that?
It's like whoever's on YouTube. It's basically whoever's on YouTube and their channels about boxing. Basically,
Oh,
yeah,
that's a thing. So
yeah,
that's
that's the thing. Yeah,
that's me and you. Okay,
right.
got it.
Basically,
So I know there's like an LDBC. I didn't know if that was some other version of that. I don't
yeah.
know.
The LDBC is in the YTBC. They're just their own,
Yeah, I know who they
entity.
are. Right. I didn't
Yeah.
know. Okay, I got you. So
Um, but yeah. Oh man, I forgot we was even talking about shit.
you were talking about the rematch.
Oh yeah, the rematch. Yeah. I think I want to see the rematch because I just want everything to be debunked about all the Wade and Errol Spence didn't look good because of the weight, and it was the weight cut. He just was off in this fight. He had a bad night. He's still better than Terrence Crawford. I just want all that to be debunked. I think if they do fight again, Terrence Crawford has a lot of confidence. Not only did he prepare himself really well for this fight with Errol Spence, now he knows Errol Spence's tendencies.
Well, the thing with that is like he had a bad night. Yeah, if the fight was somewhat close, I'd be like, okay, but it was such a lopsided victory. Like you don't have such a lopsided change bad night. It just you know what I'm saying. Like I don't think I don't think that's a possibility that it happened the way it happened just because he was having a bad night.
Right,
It had to have been a lot of what Bud did. It can't,
right,
you know what I mean? Maybe he did have a bad night, maybe, but still, it wouldn't have mattered if Bud wasn't so amazing to begin with.
right. I
So,
just think people saying that he wasn't himself and all of that. I just think a lot of people it's the fan in them, because in my opinion, because we're not in there, I don't know how Errol Spence is feeling. I can't speak on it. I'm just
right,
saying, in my opinion, Errol Spence has never been dropped.
right,
Errol's and in a fight, he's
right.
never been dropped in a fight. He was dropped in the second round at that. Um, and after that first knockdown, he was hurt. I had to go back and see that he was hurt because at first I thought, when your footing is bad and somebody hits you and you fall, that's considered a knockdown either way. I thought it was one of those, but no, he was hurt.
Well, I think he
So
got hurt more right at the end when the bell rang. When he was
right,
against, he got hurt then from the follow-up shots. The first shot, I think, was a bit of a flash knockdown, a bit, but then he had him in trouble when that bell rang.
right. And what people forget is I really think that first knockdown hurt him because Terrence Crawford is more. He's made himself. I don't know. He's trained his mind to really be more comfortable in a southpaw position. He's a natural right-hander, but he's so fluid in the southpaw. But people forget that his power hand is still his right hand. So when Errol Spence was leaning like this in this awkward position after he leaned in with the jab, he was all loose right here. He got hit with Terrence Crawford's strong hand, and I think he was really affected by that. Then going into the third round, he started doing what people said Terrence Crawford would do, and that's throw caution to the wind and you fight with his heart. He started chasing Terrence Crawford and getting angry and fighting angry, and Terrence Crawford will use that against you, and he did. You know, So yeah,
he looked to me like maybe angry, but more so like in shock. Like, why is this not working? Usually, I chase him, I chop him down, and it works. But why? You know, he almost didn't know. It was almost like his bag of tricks was there was nothing in the bag. It was just that one way to go, and he didn't really. You know, the only thing I heard Derek James saying in the corner, I think he said step around him, and he said keep chopping. That's all I heard him say. I mean, am I missing something that Derek was telling him to do?
I mean, I don't know what anybody else even wanted Derrick James, and that's another thing. I don't know what, and I'm gonna get to that, but yeah, I don't know, like Errol Spence, none of the stuff that he was doing was working. Like I said, Terrence Crawford was well prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying like Errol Spence is an easy fighter or anybody could have did that to him, but Terrence Crawford is. I just always thought he was levels above. You know,
Yeah.
people was undermining his adjustments. You know, and the adjustments that he made in this fight was easier than any adjustments I've seen in his prior fights, and
Right.
that's
Right.
saying something. Unfortunately, you
Well,
know,
do you think there's going to be any difference if they rematch at 54?
I think not really in terms of the outcome. Not really. Maybe Arrow will look stronger to some people, whatever the case may be. But in terms of the overall performance, nah, I don't think it'll be any better because he still makes those vital mistakes. Um, he has a lot of bad habits that he's not going to correct in one camp. We see he didn't correct them when Derek James said that they were working on this, working on that. He didn't correct it in this camp. So why would it take one camp after that to correct it? I just don't see it.
Right.
I think if he does fight Terrence Crawford again, it could be a lot worse. You know,
Right.
could be a whole lot worse.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I kind of don't want to see the rematch either. I mean, I heard some of the excuses on why he might have lost, and if any of those have some truth to them, it might make it a little more competitive. But I still don't. I don't think there'll be a difference in the result. You know, it should be another dominating victory for Bud, no matter what. So, you know, but then the question is, well, then who does Bud fight? Because if he doesn't fight, and Arrow, by the way, is there's a from what I understand, there's a time period of when he can trigger that rematch clause,
Yeah.
and I think that's almost ending. I think he has to trigger it sooner. It's not going to happen. So if he doesn't happen, for whatever reason, you know, you got Canelo and Charlo, but they're tied up and they got a rematch clause. I think at least. So who does Bud fight if he can't fight any of those three guys?
I forgot about that because I was looking at the Charlo Canelo winner, but whoever loses, they both have rematch clause, right?
I don't think both. From what I was told, I don't know for sure, but from what I was told, just Canelo. If
Or
he
just Canelo?
loses, and I don't think he's going to lose, but you know, and Bud made it clear that now, I mean, he went literally overnight from being like, I'm not going
Not gonna
past
fight him till you're gonna fight him.
now. Yeah, now I'm going to do 68. Um,
Uh, so
so
who does he fight? I don't know. A lot of people want to see him fight Boots, but said he want to stay at 147 for that. I guess he's trying to get the most money because he did say he'll stay at 147 Tank. So, you know, why not fight Boots? Fight Boots. If he does want to campaign at 54, he said the weight cut was hard for him at 47. Go to 54. You
he
know,
doesn't want to fight Boots though. He made that real
yeah,
clear.
he made that real clear. Yeah.
So who's left? What? Tim Zoo? If he,
I heard something about Keith Thurman. I don't know how true it is that they say he would, because Keith Thurman been talking. You know, he has the gift of gab. But you
but
know,
I don't think Keith Thurman's a big because Crawford said very clearly like I want big money, legacy kind of defining fights, and Keith
right.
Thurman isn't that. Not now, at least.
So we all kind of hold the Terrence Crawford by his standard of what he's set for himself.
The
So
standard, right?
right. So I really don't know because a Tim Zoo fight, no, that's not fitting the criteria of what you said.
It's not. I mean, but
Spence, no.
it would be a belt at 54 because I think as soon as Charlo fights, they're stripping him of
Yeah,
the
they're
WBO.
stripping Tim Zoo, absolutely.
Right. So Tim Zoo would be a fight for a belt. So he might do that to try and get a belt at another weight class.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough situation for Bud. I mean, I really don't know. But if Canelo is victorious, and if he is victorious, then that fight could happen. But I really think Jamel he's a live dog in that fight. I'm rooting for him, but and I did initially say I will pick him to win, but I was being biased, because I looked a little bit. I was just doing a little bit of watching his fights briefly, And
Charlo, you were picking Charlo?
yeah,
Nah,
he's not gonna beat Canelo. I'll be surprised, man.
that's I respect you for admitting you were being biased. Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, I don't really care who wins with that one, but I can't go against Canelo because all the advantages he has, from experience to size to, you know, every advantage almost. Um,
I was really just in that fight. I was really just um where I was really being biased is I was talking about how Canelo didn't look good in his last three performances while ignoring that Jamel's been on the layoff. He hasn't been looking really spectacular against the guys in his division. Yeah, he was undisputed, but he had a couple bumps along the road where he was the overwhelming favorite against some of those dudes that either he lost to or had a draw against.
right.
So
I mean,
I
my thing is like, how big is Charlo really? Because we're in a place in boxing now where a lot of these guys I mean, I heard, and I know some people close to Charlo, that he walks around like 185, 190. So he's dropping 30 or 40 pounds every time he fights at 54. Like, that's fucking
that's
insane.
insane. Yeah,
Like, I mean, how much? What do you walk around at?
I walk around probably 149, one at most 149 to like 153.
So you drop almost. You drop. What'd you say you fight at 39?
139, yeah.
You drop. I mean, that's a good amount of weight for you too. 12 pounds. I mean, does that give you a problem?
Nah, that doesn't give me a problem.
See, I never cut weight. I probably should have, because people don't realize in boxing, everybody has to cut weight, because if I don't cut weight, I walk around at. I fought at 165 as an amateur, 168 pro. I walked around at that. So I'm going in fighting at 168. That means I'm getting in the ring with guys who walk around at 185 probably. So I'm at a disadvantage. But I didn't care, because I felt like I'm thin to begin with. And if I lost any more weight, I would just feel too weak.
Right.
But it's a trade off. Like, feel a little weak, losing the weight, and then rehydrate and feel strong with the night of the fight, I guess. But I don't know.
Right.
I guess my point is, maybe Charlo's bigger than we think.
That is true. But Canelo's body has matured at 168. Although Charlo is the bigger man, it's all about how your body adjusts to a weight. He hasn't been at that weight class. He doesn't know how it feels there yet. He is the bigger guy, height wise or whatever. But in terms of Canelo's a real short, stocky, thick dude. He's matured at that weight. He's been all the way to 175 and fought big guys. You know what I'm saying? And then he's moved back down to 168. In his last fight, he looked huge, bro.
Yeah.
So I really don't know, but I just think that fight right there, Canelo, like Jamel, although he's able to box, he's not. He's kind of sloppy. He's kind of
A little
sloppy.
wild, right? A little
A little
wild.
sporadic, a little wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I think stuff like that, Canelo's real tight. You know what I'm saying? He's real
Uh-huh.
tight. He's strong. His guard is strong. I see Castaño
Conservative.
able to put pressure on him with that same kind of guard. A little bit more faster than Canelo. Throws a lot more punches, but Canelo's he's real short and compact. Like
Canelo's real conservative, and
right.
like, that's something that, like, me as a fighter myself, not until my late 20s did I realize how to be more conservative with my energy, with my emotion even. Sometimes you get kind of jacked up, like,
Yeah.
you're able to kind of, because that makes you tired when you're like, have that anxious excitement in the ring. That makes you tired as shit.
Right.
People don't realize.
And the question is, will he be able to hurt Canelo? We know Canelo's been hurt by bigger guys, whatever. Look, I'll just say this, right? And I'm just now saying this. I'm just now coming to the realization that, look, just because this bigger guy, he didn't hurt Canelo took his power, don't mean Charlo can't hurt him, bro. I've seen people saying, Mean Machine dropped Crawford. Gamboa hurt him. Errol Spence, who was supposed to be the biggest puncher Terrence Crawford fought, he didn't hurt him. So it's like, we just got to see it. We got to see it. But I will say, Canelo can't hurt him as well. Canelo can't hurt him. I seen Castaño hurt him. Like I kind of just contradicted myself. But he's moving up in weight. I would think Canelo can't hurt him. Canelo's a big puncher. He's putting down big dudes at his weight class. And like I just said, I just think Jamel's sloppy. Like, if he's going to be boxing all night trying to get away from Canelo. He was boxing all night trying to get away from Castaño until he landed a shot and got him,
Yep, you're right.
So will that fatigue him? We got to take this into consideration as well. This is a huge fight. This is a big moment. The fatigue is going to start to hit him a little bit more different,
Any fighter who is going forward is always less fatigued than a fighter who is backing away. It's
So
just it's just always it's a mental drain. It's also a physical drain. It's just how it is. Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. So
yeah. So yes. All right. So what do you think's going to happen with your fight? Probably about an hour and a half. Usyk and Dubois.
oh man, Usyk, I got him number 3 pound right now, man. I think he gonna win handily. I think he gonna show his levels to this. Dang, boy, he's good. I don't think he's gonna be able to keep up with Usyk. Can he hurt Usyk? Yeah, Usyk. I seen him. He got caught by Anthony Joshua. Buckled a couple times, but it's not too much for him to handle. I think he's gonna show that his levels in this fight. He's gonna beat him soundly, and everything else after that.
Dubois, and it kind of reminded me of the Juggernaut. What's his name? Joe Joyce.
Joe Joyce.
I both, and I'm not trying to disrespect them, but I thought they were very much overrated. Like I didn't think they're big dudes, but skill wise, they were just big guys, and so I wasn't surprised when Joyce lost, and I think Usyk's going to dance circles around him. I don't know if he'll stop him, but
I don't know if he'll stop him. Yeah,
I don't know if he'll stop him.
I seen a poll with people saying that he was going to stop him. I don't know about that.
I mean, because he's so much bigger, but actually, he's only 10 pounds heavier.
Oh, damn! I thought he was way bigger than him, bro. That's crazy.
220, and this dude I think was like 230 something.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Cause I did see Usyk, like his body's not gonna look like the rest of the heavyweights, cause he's shorter and he's carrying the weight different. So he did look a little pudgy in the stomach.
Well, he's Usyk's 6'3", 220.
6'3".
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad.
It's not Tyson Fury or Wilder, but it's not bad. And then I guess the last division I'd like to talk about is the lightweights or / junior middleweights, because that has the most talent in boxing, right? In those two divisions, 35-40, the most talent in boxing. Who do you think, out of all those guys, Haney, Shakur, Tank, Loma, Tio, who do you think's the best fighter out of all of them?
In terms of what they've accomplished or just skill set?
No, like if they all fought each other in a tournament, who would come out on top?
Shakur Stevenson.
I'm hearing that a lot. What? Why?
Shakur Stevenson, right? People say he doesn't have the power, right? I get that, but I think with Shakur, it's a little bit more to it with him. When he doesn't have a power, he makes up for his skill. A lot more than Devin Haney, I would say. Because Shakur Stevenson, right? Let's say him and Tank, who I think are the most skilled guys in the division. Let's say they fight, right? Shakur, right? He may not have the power, people say, to keep Tank off of him, right? So he may find himself in a situation where Tank is getting him on the ropes a lot, right? But I think Shakur, right? He's skilled enough. He creates angles. He has footwork where he gets out of those situations. You know what I'm saying? He makes opportunities where he can get you back to the center of the ring, right? It's more than just power. Yeah, he may find himself in a situation where Tank can trap him or whatever the case may be, but Shakur makes adjustments in the ring. You know what I'm saying? I see a guy like Devin Haney, very talented. I don't think he's special like Shakur Stevenson. I put a difference between the two. I think Devin Haney's very talented, but from what I'm seeing from him in the ring, yeah, he has IQ, not quite the IQ of Shakur Stevenson, but he's relying a lot more on his athleticism, a lot more. Shakur Stevenson is just his mind is different. It's very different. You see him making adjustments in the ring. Devin Haney, we see him fight Cambosos, right? The performance was dominant, quite lackluster in terms of what we expect him to do to Cambosos. But in the second fight, where you realize, oh, this dude I could do this, I could do that. A guy like Shakur would figure it out in the first fight. In my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think Shakur has all the tools to be one of the greatest fighters we've seen in a long time, but I still need him to show me the money because he hasn't really fought. But I think Tank's the best out of all of them. With Shakur, very possibly and probably could be Tank, but if I had to bet right now, I would lean towards Tank because of Tank's experience and that equalizer. I think Tio is also who I've interviewed all these guys, or most of them. Tio is he's like the dark horse because he could beat any of these guys on a given night. I think he has that in him, but then on a given night also he's shown that he's had some off nights.
That's a fact.
Right?
My thing, and I definitely agree with that. I agree with that 100%. He's one of those guys that's, his talent is remarkable. It's just, the mental lapses, the mental lapses. But with Tank, my thing is with Tank, I definitely agree it could be Shakur Stevenson. I think that's the next biggest fight in boxing right there. That's
Yep.
our next mega fight right there. Shakur
Yep.
said no lies when he brought that up. I think either one of those guys could beat each other. But if gun to my head, if you ask me, I probably would go Tank because I've seen Shakur Stevenson front running fights. I've seen him front running fights. I've seen that. You can't do that with Tank Davis.
What do you mean front run?
Front run meaning expend all your energy at the beginning of the fight and then take rounds off in the latter half of the fight. We already got the fight won. You know what I'm saying? I've seen him do that. So you can't do that with Tank. It's gonna be a mental challenge in there. He's gonna be worrying about, man, this man gonna hit me one. I don't care what nobody say. If you're going up against a punch, you always have that in your head, like, damn, what if this guy could really hit me with one shot? He's gonna be in there weary about that. So that's gonna be mentally draining. Then Tank is gonna be coming forward on him because when Tank feels that you don't, and I'm not saying Tank is gonna walk through his shots or nothing, but Tank feels he got no power. Okay, we'll see. So I'm going off of if that is the case, if Tank fights him, Tank is gonna be walking forward all night. So that's gonna be mentally draining as well. Mentally draining.
True.
So if gun to my head, if you ask me, I would go Tank. But my thing with Tank is I just think his level of opposition as of late, no disrespect, he's accomplished a lot more than me in boxing. You know what I'm saying? I gotta put that out there. But I'm a boxing fan too at the end of the day. So I'm looking at it from that perspective. So, he wants to be on pound for pound list or whatever. I don't have Tank in my top 10. That's just me. Skill wise, if we talking about skills, he's in my top 3, top 5. But in terms of what you have accomplished, moving up divisions, winning actual belts, not regular belts, he's not on my top 10. There's a lot of guys. It's a lot of guys that I have on my pound for pound list. They've done multiple things that Tank has not done.
And that's the problem with pound for pound list is everybody has, not everybody, but a lot of people have different criteria. Right. So mine, I would put Tank there because of the skill, because of what you said, but you said that you don't use that. You use something else for your criteria. So it's all different. But I think the most interesting fight in boxing at that weight, especially for boxing purists, would be Tank versus Shakur. But I think the most exciting fight visually would be Tito versus Tank. Yep.
Yeah.
Those guys
I will say that.
Bomb each other out.
That would be aesthetically pleasing, but I just feel like, I don't know. And like I said, I have people feel I'm gonna say what I said at the end of the day. I'm a man at the end of the day, because boxing is a small circle. You like guys like you and me are liable to run into one of these guys. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna say what I said at the end of the day. I'm gonna stand at the end of the day. Tank, I don't believe he wants to fight a puncher. I don't believe that. I really don't think that's in his plans to fight a puncher. I haven't really seen it. The biggest punch he may have fought was Mario Barrios. Mario Barrios, the only person that really hurt him.
Who is out there that's a big puncher that he's not fighting? Who are you talking about?
At 35, not per se, but when he was at 140 and he did fight a guy who had a little crack, we seen Barrios buzz him a little bit. Then he went back to 35.
What's his face? Hits real hard, right?
Who?
Pitbull.
Nah, I don't believe that.
No?
At the highest level, absolutely not. I don't believe that.
I didn't even see that fight, but I thought Pitbull was known for being a hard puncher. No.
I think you have to be wary of his shots, of course, but I don't think he's like this hard-hitting guy that people say he is. Because
Rolly could punch. Say what you want about
Rolly. Can punch. Rolly, yeah, that is a Rolly can punch. That's a fact. That is a fact. That is a fact. But Tank was so he was just so not worried about that dude. Like Rolly has the power, but he doesn't have the technique behind it. So that's where there's a guy who has the power with the technique behind it. It's a lot more dangerous, But Isaac Cruz, I don't think he's a huge puncher like that. I think his power is comparable to a Stanionis at 147. Yeah, right. He can buzz you, but he's not really like, if he can buzz you or drop you if you're not really paying attention. But if you really are aware or whatever, like, and just really have your wits about you, I don't really think he's hitting like that. You know what I'm saying? It's,
Okay.
That's just me.
Hopefully we'll see. Hopefully,
right.
We literally got 3 or 4 or 5 fights just in those 2 divisions that would be amazing to watch.
Right. And I heard Tank is fighting Pitbull Cruz for a second time,
That's not necessary. That's when you could be fighting Shakur or Haney or all these other guys. Why? And I don't even want to get into this part because we'll be here all day, but the business of boxing and all that has taken such a shitty turn left over the past few years, and the end result is fans don't get the fights they want, the fighters don't get the legacy fights they want, or they get them later, too late.
Right.
And that's just what we're dealing with.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I'm just ready to mainly, and this is the last thing I want to say. I know you gotta get out of here. With the heavyweight division, I just think what Tyson Fury is doing, like not wanting to fight Usyk, is I think we need like the guy in the heavyweight division. There's no dispute. That's just something that's been missing from boxing from a long time. There's always the debate, always Wilder the guy, AJ the guy, Tyson Fury the guy. Then when it got trickled down to Tyson Fury, Usyk, and now Tyson Fury seems like he doesn't want to engage with that.
I mean, I actually really like Tyson Fury, and I didn't think he had it in him to not want to fight somebody. But did you watch that Netflix documentary?
Never. No, I didn't. I haven't watched.
Did you hear about it?
Oh, wait, he has one? Oh no, I haven't watched it.
He has a 9-episode. It's #1 on Netflix for the past like 10 days. Number
yeah,
one on everything on Netflix. Yeah, watch it. It's called something Home with the Furies, and it happened right after he retired. It shot for probably 2 or 3 weeks right after he retired, before he fought. So like whatever last year, but you should watch it. But at one point, it's when he starts negotiating with Fury. He starts negotiating with Usyk. Do you remember when Fury gave Anthony Joshua a deadline? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Right when that happened. So you see him recording the video that he ended up putting on social media, giving him the deadline. And it's crazy. You'll see he was going through a lot of shit because he just retired mentally. He was bugging out. But the point being, he straight up said, Fury did in this documentary, he says, fighting Usyk is a big risk for me because he's a little guy. And if I lose to a little guy, you know, or if I don't look good, or if the judges rob me or whatever, he's like, I'm gonna be a laughing stock. So he's like, so yeah, if I'm gonna fight him, I better be worth my time and my money. So that's why I want 75-25. In a way, he's saying, I don't believe any fighter's scared at that level. I hate when people say they're scared but he's trying to make a business decision, and I don't really necessarily like that because this is undisputed. This is history.
And that's crazy how he admitted that, and that's what people were saying. That's what people were predicting.
But I respect him for just being like, yeah, right. I'm not taking this risk.
That's what people were saying that it was, because this is a guy. This would be the most skilled guy Fury has ever fought.
But yeah.
What would you think is
nobody? Yeah. When I said arguably, I was like, no, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. He so I would get like Wilder limited. You know what I'm saying? That's not the best win on his resume. I would say Vladimir Klitschko was,
but not at that point. He was 40.
Yeah, not at that point. Yeah, he was older, but
but I respect
name
Fury for saying that. He was like, yeah, I'm not going to fight unless I get paid. Fuck that. He's like, I'm not going to take. But then there's another part of me that's like, he's assumingly a multi-millionaire. Like, I don't think money, you know what I mean? At this point, it's for legacy.
Right. And he was talking about being compensated $500 million for that fight. That's duck talk to me. I'm sorry, bro. Like, I get you would make a huge lump sum of money, probably in the 60 millions, 70 millions going over there in Saudi Arabia, but $500 million. That's way out of the realm of possibility.
I agree, man. If I was him, I would look at that fight differently. I would look at it like, this is going to be way easier, because some people think that Usyk, because Tyson is one of the most skilled fighters in history of being able to use his weight to his advantage, leaning on people, draining the legs.
Very talented, man. You can't take that away from him.
So Usyk's faster and smaller than Deontay, so it'll be a little harder to catch him.
Yeah.
But when he does catch him, the weight's going to do a lot more because he's bigger. You know what I mean? It's going to take more out of him than it took out of Wilder.
And that's why I have Usyk number 3 pound for pound. Now people say, "Oh, he's a heavyweight." He moved up to heavyweight. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
Right. And he was undisputed at cruiserweight. Usyk's chances of getting knocked out in the heavyweight division is a lot more dire than in any other weight class. Why? It's the heavyweight division. He's significantly littler than those guys. And I would say almost 95% of the time he has to outbox these dudes, bro. He's not. I don't really see him knocking all of those dudes
No,
out.
he's not
So
knocking
for 12 rounds, this man has to avoid getting hit with a big shot. That's impressive, bro. Got to
it.
put respect on that.
It
You know,
is. I agree, and I think Wilder's the worst fight from because Wilder every fighter lands one good shot in 12 rounds. It's going to happen. And Usyk being so much smaller, I don't see him not getting knocked out by Wilder unless he has this crazy chin that we've never really seen.
right?
Because
And
he's never really been tested.
I did see him get buckled by AJ in the last fight. He
Right, right.
was
But
buzzed.
that's a big fucking dude.
He is a big dude, yeah. So to your point, if he does get hit by Wilder, it could be, very
Right,
sleep, sleep.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
But let me ask you this last thing. Did you check out my videos on my channel
Checked out a few of them, yeah.
about the because a lot of people have been talking about the little I've been putting together this whole like series of people making excuses about Errol Spence or whatever. You may enjoy it,
I think is that the one where you have the numbers counting down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that one,
Yeah.
It's really crazy, but
I mean, here's what I think about that. I think that two things can be true, and I think a lot of fight fans connect themselves to a fighter, and now it's not about being a fight fan watching. They're connecting themselves to the fighter. So when the fighter loses, it's almost like they're taking their own shit out in their own life onto a fighter, and it's like, nah, just step back, watch the fighter. You have your life, the fighter has their life. So two things can be true. Errol Spence could have maybe had some things that made him not perform as well, but Bud still could be a better fighter and still would have beat him almost just as easily if those things weren't going on. Like it could just because you bring up something that might have made a fighter not perform as well doesn't mean it's a total excuse and it totally discredits the other fighter. You know what I mean?
For me, the way those guys are doing it, it's an excuse because the way they were talking prior, and that's why I put those guys. I'm not putting guys who say, "Oh, he didn't." I put in guys.
You took specific people, right?
I put specific people who was talking a lot of shit. Oh, Errol looks good in the weigh-in. Errol looks way bigger than him. Errol looks in the best shape of his life. Errol looks great. Both guys look great. I'm putting those guys and putting the after of them saying, "Oh, Errol Spence was weight drained and all this."
Right. I mean, the balance response. You're right. That is not accepting. Somebody balanced would say, "Oh, yeah, Errol might have been weight trained, and that might have affected him a little bit, but Bud was still just way better." That's something you would say, right? Not, "Oh, the only reason is because it's not the only reason."
That's ludicrous.
Yeah. No, it was. Anybody who doesn't give Crawford full credit for that victory. Like I said, I don't care if there was a little couple things. It doesn't matter. Like that, he was so dominant, it wouldn't have made any difference.
Then there's people who were just talking complete trash about this man. He's gonna get dominated, this and this and that. Then they turn around and say, "Oh, he's with Snack, Victor Conte." You didn't say that before the fight. It's a lot of fighters with Snack that's not doing what Terrence Crawford's doing. Devin Haney ain't doing that. He's one of them. Right. Mario Barrios ain't doing that, bro.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's important, like especially doing what we do, you and me do here, being like we're technically media, I guess. Being unbiased is important. Like there's certain fighters I like watching, but if I'm gonna cover it, I'm gonna try and be as unbiased as I can because that's what it's about. I respect any fighter who gets in the ring. I respect. That's why you never hear me call anybody a bum or none of that because nobody's a bum who gets in the ring.
Right, and that's coming from a perspective of you being a fighter, and that's why I say I try my best, and I do slip up sometimes. I'm not perfect. I try my best not to call fighters bums, bro, because I be hearing these guys on the internet calling these dudes bums, bro. You not getting in there, bro. You don't understand the pain of what that man going through. You don't, you know what I'm saying?
All it takes to just get
right, and there are guys who are not that good, but these are people they talking about that are really that not quite that good, but they're decent. And they're calling them bums, bro. Like I just don't. The guys that Crawford fought was really taking the blunt of those. Those is bums that Crawford was fighting. Like it's just disrespect, bro.
Right. Disrespect. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I agree. But look, man, it was good talking to you. Let's. By the way, what gym do you fight out of?
Gleason's gym.
Oh, yeah. So I'll probably see. I go to Church Street.
Church Street. Oh yeah, I definitely know Church Street. Yeah, definitely.
That's been my gym.
That's the gym. Okay.
For like 20 years, but I hit up Gleason's too. So
Yeah, definitely. I'll be there Monday.
all right, yeah, maybe I'll see you.
All right,
All right, cool.
sure.
Let's talk again.
All right, man.
All right, peace.